I'm late, as usual. So what do you say we begin? All in the golden afternoon, full leisurely we glide, for both our oars with little skill by little arms are plied, while little hands make vain pretense our wanderings to guide. Ah, cruel three, in such an hour, beneath such dreamy weather, to beck a tale of breath too weak to stir the tiniest feather. Yet what could one poor voice avail against three tongues together? Imperious Prima flashes forth her edicts to begin it. In gentler tones Secunda hopes there will be nonsense in it, while Tertia interrupts the tale not more than once a minute. Anon to sudden silence one, in fancy they pursue, the dream child moving through a land of wonders wild and new, in friendly chat with bird or beast, and half believe it true.
What a lazy day. Why must it be so dull and boring?
I'm quite content reading. You should do the same.
Would you read me a story?
I told you to bring something to occupy yourself.
Play a game with me?
Alice, I'm trying to read. Please be quiet.
But I'm bored.
Then close your eyes and listen to the birds or the flowers.
Flowers don't speak. Wouldn't that be lovely? I wonder what they would say.
They would say to be quiet.
I suppose birds do speak. Well, sing rather. Do you think birdsong is simply singing, or are birds speaking to one another?
For heaven's sake, Alice, I'm trying to read. Please be quiet.
Does birdsong make birds sleepy? It makes me sleepy.
Then lie down and take a nap. Would you please stop tap dancing on my nerves? I'm trying to read.
All you do is read, read, read. Or is it read, read, read? How is it the same word can be said different ways? And how could they mean the same things?
Alice, why must you bother me with these questions?
I guess I'll just play solitaire. Unless you know how to play cards, Dinah. What card game would you like to play?
Alice, I already told you. I'm trying to read. I do not want to play cards.
I was speaking to Dinah. Dinah will play with me, won't you? And who else will join us? Hello, Queen of Hearts, Your Majesty. Where's your cranky sister, the Red Queen? And hello, Knave of Hearts, sir. Or do you prefer Jack? 7 of hearts and a 5. Dive. Why do they call it falling asleep when we simply must choose to go? I suppose it is more like a dive. And the two. Was that a white rabbit? That was the whitest rabbit I've ever seen.
Oh dear, I shall be too late.
And there it was again. And this time it spoke. But rabbits don't speak. Am I dreaming?
I wonder how many miles I've fallen. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth. What is the distance to the center of the earth? Perhaps it will fall right through the earth. How funny it will seem to come out among people that walk with their heads downwards. I shall ask them the name of the country, you know. Please, ma'am, is this Australia? Oh.
After such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they'll think of me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything, even if I fell off the top of the house.
Oh, my dear paws. Oh, my fur. She'll have me executed. What is the time?
There she is, begging your pardon, Miss Rabbit.
Ah! Oh, my whiskers. You should not be here. How did you arrive? Oh dear, never mind. I'm so very late.
But where is here? I arrived as anyone does, because I am present.
There isn't time for this now. Or in the past. If I don't hurry, I'll have no future. Make way for Her Majesty the Queen of Hearts. I do say make way.
Off with their heads! Who is this? Who is this small person? How dare you enter my domain? What is your name, you horrid little girl?
Your Majesty, my name is Alice. At least, it was when I woke up this morning. But a lot of things have changed since then.
So, your name is Alice. I'm quite fond of Alice's. You must come to the royal garden to play croquet this afternoon.
Thank you for the invitation, Your Majesty, but I...
It's not an invitation. It is an order. I'm baking tarts for the occasion from my special royal recipe.
Oh, I'm very fond of tarts. At tea time, my mother always scolds me for helping myself.
You'd better not help yourself to any of mine. Stealing tarts is a capital offense. My executioner is right here to behead anyone caught stealing tarts, or speaking too loudly, or being late. Well, anything my heart desires, really.
Oh, how barbaric! I do beg your pardon, Your Majesty. It's just that such strange things have been happening to me today. Right now, I just like to find my way out of this hole.
That's preposterous. Only royal personages are permitted to find their way. You'll have to become a queen yourself in order to have your way, and we would never permit that.
A queen? I shall have to become Queen Alice just to leave this place?
That's not what I just said, you foolish child.
But how does one become a queen?
You will have a great many adventures here before you can call yourself a queen. Each adventure is a step you must take. You shall have to travel through Wonderland all the way to the looking glass until you reach the 8th row of the giant chessboard. Then you shall be crowned a queen and be able to go anywhere you please.
That sounds ever so difficult. And very confusing, too.
Did you think it would be easy to become a queen like me? You have no business being in Wonderland in the first place.
But I did not plan to come to Wonderland. I do not even know where here is.
You have become quite annoying. Off with our heads!
Oh, please, I beg your royal pardon.
Then best mind your manners. Don't be late to croquet in the Royal Rose Garden. Why are we still here? Onward!
Make way for Her Majesty the Queen of Hearts. I do say make way.
And she tells me to mind my manners. What a curious place, this Wonderland. Which of these finger posts ought I follow, I wonder? Oh, Tiger Lily, I wish you could talk.
We can talk when there's anybody worth talking to.
Oh, all flowers can talk?
As well as you can, a great deal louder. It isn't manners for us to begin, you know.
I've been in many gardens before, but none of the flowers could talk.
Put your hand down and feel the ground. Then you'll know why.
It's very hard, but I don't see what that has to do with it.
They make the bed too soft so that the flowers are always asleep.
I never considered that before.
Perhaps you should do more thinking.
I beg your pardon. There's no need to hiss at me. Aren't you sometimes afraid of being planted out here with nobody to take care of you?
There's the tree over there.
But what could it do if any danger came?
It could bark.
It says bow wow.
That's why its branches are called boughs.
Never mind. Could you please tell me which way will lead to the royal court? I must make it to the match.
We cannot. You must be extended family of the queen in order to be a member of the court. And Shirley would know if you were.
But I must find the royal rose garden. I cannot be late to croquet.
If you're not royalty, she must pick you.
I don't think she'll pick you. You're not as lovely as us.
I am so.
Look at her petals. All wilty. And her color is rather pale.
She must be beginning to fade.
I am not beginning to fade, nor am I wilting.
I hate
Of all things, I've never known flowers to be so ugly. How will I make a croquet if even the flowers are unpleasant? If I do not make haste, I shall be very late. The queen will certainly have my head. Come now, there's no use in crying like that. I advise you leave off this minute. I generally give myself very good advice, though I very seldom follow it. How different everything is today. I wonder if I changed in the night to go on crying this way. Stop this moment. I almost think I remember feeling a little different, but if I am not the same, the next question is, who in the world am I? I feel as though I do not know as much as I once did. 4 times 5 is 12, and 4 times 7 is 13. No, that is all wrong. Perhaps I will try to recite. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail and pour the water of the Nile? Oh, I do wish I hadn't cried so much. I'm certain those are not the right words, and I shall be punished for it now. I suppose by being drowned in my own tears. Oh, Mouse, do you know the way out of this pool? Oh, Mouse. Oh, perhaps she doesn't understand. Maybe she's a French mouse. Oh, est ma chatte. Oh, I beg your pardon. I forgot mice don't like cats.
Not like cats? Would you like cats if you were me?
Perhaps not. Please don't be angry. And yet, I wish you could see our cat Dinah. She is such a dear. I think you'd take a fancy to cats if you could only see her. She's such a capital one for catching mice. Oh, I'm afraid to have offended you. Please come back.
Our family always hated cats. Nasty, low, vulgar things. Don't let me hear the name again.
I won't indeed. Are you fond of dogs? There's such a nice little dog by our house. A little bright-eyed terrier with long, brown, curly hair. It can sit and fetch and beg. Oh, all sorts of things. The farmer says it kills all the rats. And oh, I'm afraid I've offended you again.
Let us go to the shore and I'll tell you my history and you'll understand why it is I hate cats and dogs.
How will we ever get dry?
From Toplet to Tola in nursery songs.
Ooh, she shall muse upon hey diddle diddle on the cow that turned mounted the moon. She shall rave of the cat and the fiddle and the dish that eloped with the spoon.
He sat down beside her and scared her away.
Or someone can tell us a story to dry by. Sit down, all of you, and listen to me. I'll soon make you dry enough. This is the driest thing I know. In fact, even the name means desert in Arabic.
Who wants to eat a dry dessert?
I beg your pardon. Did you squeak?
Not I.
I thought you did. I will proceed. It is the driest thing I know, even though it borders 3 bodies of water. The Atlantic Ocean to the west, the Red Sea to the east, the Mediterranean Sea to the north, and it spans 11 countries. Yet, people have still found it habitable.
Found what?
Found it. Of course, you know what it means.
I know what it means well enough. When I find a thing, it is generally a frog or a worm. The question is, what did the people find?
They found the Sahara Desert, of course. How are you getting on now, my dear?
As wet as ever. It doesn't seem to dry one at all.
Well, in that case, I move that the meeting adjourn for the immediate adoption of more energetic remedies.
Speak English! I don't know the meaning of half those long words, and what's more, I don't believe you do either.
What I was going to say is a caucus race would be the best to get us dry.
What's a caucus race?
Well, the best way to explain it is to do it. The race is over.
Who won?
Did you win? Did you win?
All must have prizes.
Prizes! But who is to give the prizes?
Why, she, of course.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
She must have a prize herself, you know.
Of course. What else have you got in your pocket?
Only a thimble.
Hand it here. We beg your acceptance of this elegant thimble.
You promised to tell me your history, and why did you hate C's and D's?
Mine is a long and sad tale.
It's a long tale, certainly, but why do you call it sad?
Fury said to a mouse that she met in the house, Let us both go to law, I will prosecute you. Come, I'll take no denial, we must have the trial. You're not attending, what are you thinking of?
I do beg your pardon. And not. Oh, do let me help to undo it.
I shall do nothing of the sort, you insult me by talking nonsense.
Oh, please come back and finish your story. I didn't mean it, but you're so easily offended, you know.
We are not knotted.
Why, my dear, let this be a lesson to you to never lose your temper.
I wish I had my Dinah here. I know I do. She'd soon fetch her back.
This is Dinah, if I might falter to ask a question.
Dinah is our cat, and she's such a capital one for catching mice. And oh, you should see her after the birds. Why, she'll eat a little bird as soon as she looks at it.
I must be going. The night air really doesn't suit my lungs.
Oh, I wish I hadn't mentioned Dinah. Nobody seems to like her down here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, Dinah, I wonder if I should ever see you anymore.
Oh, the Duchess! The Duchess! Oh, my dear paws! Oh, my fur and whiskers! She'll get me executed as sure as queens are queens.
Duchess? Who is the Duchess?
Why, the cousin of the Queen of Hearts, of course. Who would ask such a flighty question? Now, where could I have dropped them, I wonder?
Dropped what, Miss Rabbit?
Why, the gloves, of course.
Where did you have them last?
Where indeed? They were on my paws for the Queen's procession.
And then where did you go?
I gave the croquet invitations to the fish footman to deliver. And then
And then?
I sent the cards into the rose garden to prepare the croquet grounds.
Sounds like you've been many places. May I help you look?
Why, Mary Anthe, what are you doing out here?
Mary Anthe? Oh, me, I'm not.
Fly home this moment and fetch me a new pair of gloves and a fan. Quick now!
She took me for her bird. How surprised she'll be when she finds out who I really am. I best take her gloves and fan. That is, if I can find them. Oh, pardon me.
And why should I do that?
Because I didn't see you there. You must be Mary Anthe.
Must I? I could be Mary or an Anne.
Mary or Anne? Aren't you already both?
How does one be two people?
I suppose I don't know. I've always been... Perhaps I don't know that either.
Well, do we know why you're here?
Miss Rabbit sent me to find her gloves and fan.
Of course, she's forever losing things, flying as she perpetually is. She'll leave her head behind if we're attached.
But rabbits don't fly.
And birds do.
That's true. It's the only way they ever get away from Dinah.
And who is Dinah? If May Vulture asked the question.
Vulture, is that a verb? You seem to have birds on the brain.
Of course, I'm bird-brained.
Oh, all this talking. And I ran so quickly. I'm feeling quite hoarse.
There's a bird bath over there. Help yourself.
Oh, that's very kind of you. But may I have this instead?
If you insist, but how will you clean your wings with a bottle?
Drink me. Very nice. Cherry tart. Toffee. Roast turkey. Cherry tart. Oh, what a curious feeling.
Oh dear, you've drank too much. You'll be enormous crushes both. I must get Miss Rabbit.
People come and go so quickly around here.
I should have trampled.
I feel as though I'm opening out like the largest telescope that ever was. Goodbye, feet. I hope I shan't grow anymore.
I can't get out at the door. That little bluebird was right. I shouldn't have drunk quite so much. It was much more pleasant being at home when one wasn't growing larger and smaller and being ordered about by mice and rabbits. I almost wish I hadn't gone down that rabbit hole. And yet, it's rather curious, this sort of life. When I used to read fairy tales, I fancied that kind of thing never happened. And now here I am in the middle of one. There ought to be a book written about me someday. And when I grow up, I'll write one. But I'm grown now. At least there's no more room to grow here.
Marianne, what are you chirping on about? I asked you to get me gloves and a fan. I am ever so late. Perhaps I'll go around and get in at the window.
Bet you won't.
Come and give me a hand right this instant.
I would if I could.
Have you found my gloves? I need to be going.
I have.
Well, bring them to me.
But I can't.
Ugh, this is not time for games. If we don't hurry, we both shall be very late to the Queen's games, and she'll lose her temper.
I don't want to anger the Queen.
Now tell me, what's this in the window?
My person.
I asked you for a hand, not an entire person. It is no business here at any rate. Go and take it away.
I can't take away part of me. However do you suppose I do that? I can't even get out of this house.
Ah! Oh, my word! My lovely tiny house, what have you done? Get out at once!
I was trying to tell you, a strange bird flew in looking for your fan and gloves, and now she can't find the coop.
I can't even get up, so how will I get out?
Get her out of my beautiful tiny house. You there, bring kindling.
If you do, I'll send Dinah after you. I wonder what they'll do next. If they had any sense, they'd take the roof off.
An armsful will do to begin with.
An armsful of what? Oh! Better not do that again! Eat me. If I eat one of these, it's sure to make some changes to my size. And as I can't possibly make me larger, it must make me smaller, I suppose.
Won't you just leave off? I will call for the executioner.
Oh, it was an accident. I never meant.
Hail to the blitz spirit, bird thou never wert.
How can I know who I am when there's hardly enough of me left to make one respectable person? Oh, I think I see the Royal Rose Garden.
Certainly you're not a respectable anything. Look at those petals.
What's wrong with my petals? I mean, my dress.
Your petals shouldn't be so pale and tumbled about like yours.
But that's not your fault. You're beginning to fade, you know? And then one can't help one's supposed to get a little untidy.
I'm not fading. I've only just shrunk, then grown, then shrunk again, but I'm not fading.
But we all grow, then fade. Some of us grow faster than others.
Yes, that is where she is. You must be a weed. They grow much faster.
She doesn't look like a dandy or a lion. She can't be one of us.
That's very rude of you. I am not a weed.
That's exactly what a weed would say to stay in our bed. We already have the line. You must go.
I didn't want to stay anyhow. You are much too sharp. No, sir. Just at present. At least, I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think a lot of things have been changed since then.
What do you mean by that? Explain yourself.
I cannot explain myself, sir, for I am not myself, you see.
I do not see.
I'm afraid I can't make it any more clear, for I do not understand it myself to begin with, and being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing.
It is not.
Perhaps you haven't found it so yet, but when you have to turn into a chrysalis, you will someday, you know, and then...
I do not know.
And then after that, into a butterfly. I shouldn't think you'll find it a little unsettling, won't you?
Not a bit.
Well, perhaps your feelings may be different. All I know is it has felt very uncomfortable to me.
But who are you?
I think you ought to tell me who you are first.
Why?
Because you know who you are.
Your temple.
Oh. Is that all?
No, so you think you changed, do you?
I am afraid so, sir. I can't seem to keep things in my head, and I don't keep the same size.
Can't keep what in your head?
Well, I've tried to say how doth the little busy bee, but it all came different.
How do you recall it?
How doth the little busy bee improve each spring rain shower and chase the pollen to and fro from every cranky flower?
That is not settled.
Not quite right. I'm afraid some of the words have gotten altered.
Feel is the problem. I shall demonstrate. How doth the little busy bee improve each passing hour and gather honey all the day from every opening flower?
Oh, I had just remembered the croquet match. I mustn't be late.
Has the queen invited you?
Why, yes.
Why indeed?
You asked if the queen had invited me.
Explain.
But you were the one to ask me about the queen. I do not know why she has invited me.
And who are you?
I have been changed so many times. I do not know who I am. It could be Rebecca, Anne, or Sherry. Maybe I'm a Mary. Mary had a bird feathers bright and yellow. Or is it Mary had a little lamb, fleece was white as snow? I'm certain there was something about flowers, silver bells and cockle shells.
That is not said right. It is wrong from beginning to end.
How could I say it right when I do not know who I am? I cannot seem to keep things in my head, but if I'm late, the queen will have it.
It isn't a prize to be had.
Not at this size. I used to have more things in it.
What size do you want to be?
Well, I'm not particular as to size, only one doesn't like changing so often, you know?
I do not know. Are you content now?
Well, I should like to be a little larger, sir, if you wouldn't mind. 3 inches is such a wretched height to be.
It is a very good height to be indeed.
But I'm not used to it. I wish the creatures would not be so easily offended here.
You'll get used to it in time.
Just because it's always been this way for you does not mean we all must get used to it.
There is no need to yell. You cannot help things stay the same, but you can help change.
Where are you going?
That is none of your business.
Of all things to say.
One side will make you go taller, the other will make you go shorter.
One side of what? The other side of what?
Of the mushroom.
And now, which is which? I should like to be a little larger. I'm sure something interesting is to happen whenever I eat or drink anything. Oh, I do hope it may be taller, for I'm quite tired of being such a tiny thing.
I better hold on to these. Wrong way to croquet. I don't want to go that way. House of the Duchess. Could go that way.
You! Do you know what you've done to my sweet tiny house?
I'm so sorry, Miss Rabbit. I didn't mean to grow so large. I didn't mean to grow at all.
Well, it was very mean, indeed. You'll make a fine queen.
I wasn't trying to be mean.
Regardless of if you were trying or not, you were, and queens are mean.
I don't want to be a queen. Oh, how strange everything's been today. I wish to go home and tell Dinah of everything that's happened.
You must continue through Wonderland until you reach the 8th row. Then, you may go anywhere you would like, even if that should happen to be my home. Oh, I would love to go to my home, but some monstrous human child has made a mess of it.
I'm very sorry, Miss Rabbit. However, can I make it right?
Well, you wouldn't want to make a left. That's the wrong way.
No, not that right. I want to make it right. Oh, never mind.
The sign always knows which way to go. It always shows the right way.
But it always shows different ways.
Yes, it switches, and that's why it's always right.
How can different ways be right? I do wish I understood more here.
The only right way for you is to continue through. Do not be late to the croquet.
I wonder whose house this is. The house of the Duchess. How puzzling all these changes have been today. I never know why I'm going from one minute to the next, but at least I've gotten back to my right size. I've never seen a fish out of water, nonetheless a footman.
For the Duchess, an invitation from the Queen to play croquet.
From the Queen. An invitation for the Duchess to play croquet. There's no sort of use in knocking, and that's for two reasons. First, because I'm on the same side of the door as you are. Secondly, they're making such a noise inside no one could possibly hear you.
Please then, how am I to get in?
There might be some sense in your knocking if we had the door between us. For instance, if you were inside, you might knock, and I could let you out, you know.
But I'm still trying to get in.
I shall stay here until tomorrow. Or next day, maybe.
Excuse me, I'm still trying to get in.
Are you to get in at all? That's the first question, you know.
Oh, it's so dreadful, the way all these creatures here argue. It's enough to drive one crazy.
I shall sit here for days and days.
But what am I to do?
Anything you like.
Oh, there's no use in talking to him. He's perfectly idiotic. Excuse me, but I think there's certainly too much pepper in that soup.
Little birds are writing. Interesting book. To be read by cooks. Not roasted. Letterpress. Untoasted.
Mind your business.
Excuse me, would you tell me why your cat grins like that?
It's a Cheshire cat, that's why.
I didn't know Cheshire cats grin. In fact, I didn't know cats could grin.
They can, and most of them do.
I don't know any that do. Please, mind what you're doing. His precious nose, please.
If everybody could mind their own business, the whole world would go a deal round faster.
What does that have to do with the price of tea? The Earth revolves around on its axis in 24 hours.
Speaking of axis, chop off her head!
24 hours, or is it 12?
Oh, don't bother me. I could never abide figures. Speak roughly to your little boy and beat him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy because he knows it teases. I speak severely to my boy and beat him when he sneezes, for he can thoroughly enjoy the pepper when he pleases.
Have you seen the time? The queen will have your hide. We must be going.
You may nurse the piggy a bit. I must go play croquet with my cousin.
If I leave this baby here, it'll certainly be murdered in a day or two. Oh, I can't leave it behind. Don't grunt. That's not a proper way of expressing yourself. Crying like that will turn you into a piglet. You are a piglet! What am I going to do with you when I get home? Oh! You would have made a dreadfully ugly child, but I think it makes a rather handsome pig. Hello, Mr. Cheshire Cat Puss. Would you tell me which way I ought to go from here?
A great deal. On where you want to get to.
Anywhere, as long as it's away from here.
Then it doesn't matter which way you go. No matter where you go, there you will be.
So long as I get somewhere.
Oh, you're sure to do that, as long as you walk long enough, in any bewitched direction.
What sort of people live around here?
People? I don't know about people, but in that direction lives a Mad Hatter. And in that direction lives a Lord Mayor. If you like, they're both mad.
I don't want to go among mad people.
You can't help that. We're all mad here. I'm mad. You're mad.
How do you know that I'm mad?
Oh, you must be.
Oh, where did you go? Oh, I wish I was home with Dinah. She doesn't disappear and she isn't mad. How do you know that you're mad?
I don't think I would like a cat who's not mad. For instance, a dog's not mad. You grant that?
I suppose so.
Well, a dog wags its tail when it's pleased and growls when it's angry. Now, I growl when I'm pleased and wag my tail when I'm angry. Therefore, I'm mad.
I call it purring, not growling.
Call it what you like.
I want to go home. I don't wish to be among mad people.
Will you play croquet with the queen today?
I'm supposed to, but I don't know which way I'm to go.
She's certainly mad. You'll see me there.
Please come back so I may see you here.
But you can hear me. Oh, speaking of hearing, whatever happened to that squealing baby? I'd nearly forgotten to ask.
It turned into a pig.
I thought you may.
May, March and April, May. I should be going. I've seen hatters before, so the March hare will be the most interesting, and I suppose I won't be raving mad since it is December.
Did you say pig or big?
I said pig! And I wish you would stop reappearing and vanishing so suddenly. It's enough to make one quite giddy. I've often seen a cat without a grin, but a grin without a cat? That's the most curious thing I've ever seen.
Oh, dear beyond our dearest dreams, fairer than all that fairest seems.
To feast the rosy hours away, to reveal roundelay.
Oh,
how blessed would be a life so free.
And if in other days and hours, another fluffs another
She
flowers.
seems to have grown.
Weeds do that.
I'm not a weed. I'm a little girl.
You aren't very little.
At home I'm considered little. Oh, how I miss home. There, flowers are pleasant.
Oh, she doesn't think we are pleasant.
Well, do little girls trample through flowers there?
I'm not trampling.
You surely aren't tiptoeing.
Oh, how I wish I was at home with Dinah under the tree picking daisies.
Ooh, she means to pick us. Shoo shoo.
Don't come any closer. I have very big thorns.
You don't want a kiss from these two.
That looks mighty uncomfortable for the dormouse. Oh, since it's asleep, I'm sure it doesn't mind.
No room! No room!
But there's plenty of room.
Have some lemonade.
I don't see any.
That's because there isn't any.
That wasn't very civil of you to offer it.
It wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited.
I didn't know this was your table. Besides, it's set for more than 3.
Tea? Oh, yes, I would love some. Join us. Would you like some tea?
Oh, yes, please.
Your hair wants cutting.
One shouldn't make personal remarks. That's very rude.
What is a raven like a writing desk?
Oh, come now. We shall have some fun. I do believe I can guess that.
Do you mean you think you can figure out the answer to it?
Exactly so.
Then you should say what you mean.
I do. At least, I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know.
Not the same thing a bit. You might as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see.
You might as well say I breathe when I sleep is the same thing as I sleep when I breathe.
You might just as well say that I like what I get is the same thing as I get what I like.
My sister Charity says you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Then she could also say you don't throw a fit if you get what you get.
Is it the same thing with you?
What day of the month is it?
The 1st of December.
2 days wrong. I told you butter wouldn't suit the works.
It was the best butter, unsalted.
Yes, maybe so. But maybe you shouldn't have used the bread and butter knife.
Bread and butterfly.
It was the very best butter for the very best watch.
How could it be the best watch if it has butter in it?
How can it not be?
What a silly watch. It tells what day it is, but not what o'clock it is?
Does yours tell you what year it is?
No, but that's because it stays the same year for such a long time.
Which is just the case with mine.
How do you know if it's a long time if it doesn't tell you the day?
I don't quite understand you.
Learning many things does not teach understanding.
Of course, of course, of course. Just what I mark myself.
Have you guessed the riddle yet?
No, I give up. What's the answer?
I haven't the slightest idea. Nor
I. You should do something better with your time than waste it on asking riddles that have no answers to them.
That's... If you know anything about time, you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's him.
I don't know what you mean.
Of course you don't. I dare say you've never even spoke this time.
I can't say that I have, but I do beat time when I practice music.
That accounts for it. He wouldn't stand being beat. Now, if you only kept on good terms with him, he'd do almost anything you like with the clock. For instance, say it were 9 o'clock in the morning, just in time to begin breakfast. You just have to whisper a little hint at a time, and round goes the clock in a jiffy. Just 1:30 and your lesson is done. 1:30 and time for supper.
We can't have time for supper. He wouldn't enjoy being eaten.
Oh, that is very true. I guess the queen would be right.
Was the queen not right? I thought the queen was always right.
Not when the Hatter was singing for her.
What did he sing?
Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder where you're at.
Perhaps you know the song?
I've heard something like it.
Up above the world you fly, like a teacher in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle, little hat.
Well, I hardly finished the first verse when the queen bawled out, "Here's Mary the Swine!" After the day!
How dreadfully savage!
And ever since then, time won't do a thing I ask. It's always tea time now.
Is that why there's all these tea things set up?
Yes, that's it. It's always tea time, so we have no time to wash things in between.
Then you just move around?
Exactly so. I want a clean cup.
happens when you come to the beginning again?
I've grown tired of the subject. I thought the young lady tells us a story.
I'm afraid I don't know any.
Then the Dormouse will. Wake up, Dormouse!
Wake up, Dormouse!
I wasn't asleep. I heard every word you loons were saying.
Tell us a story.
Yes, please do.
And be quick about it, or you'll be asleep again before you're done.
Once upon a time, there were 3 little sisters. Their names were Elsie, Lacey, and Tilly. They lived at the bottom of a well.
What did they live on?
They lived on treacle.
They couldn't have done that. They would have been ill living on only syrup.
So they were very ill.
Why did they live at the bottom of a well?
Take some more tea.
I can't take more since I haven't had any yet.
You mean you can't take less? It's very easy to take more than nothing.
It is similar to when one says, I could care less, but that would mean they care a great deal and could do for caring less. Really, they mean they couldn't care less because they already feel at the bottom of a well.
Yes, but why did they live at the bottom of a well?
It was a treacle well.
There's no such thing.
If you can't be civil about it, you better finish the story for yourself.
No, please go on. I won't interrupt again. Dare I say there may be one.
So there was. So these 3 little sisters, they were learning to draw, you know.
What did they draw?
Treacle.
Where did they draw the treacle from?
Well, one would draw water out of a water well. So, one would think you would draw treacle out of a treacle well.
Yes, but they were in the well.
Of course they were, well in. So these 3 little sisters, they were learning to draw, and they drew all manner of things. Everything that begins with M.
Why with an M?
Why not?
Such as mousetraps, the moon, and memory, and muchness. Did you ever see a drawing of muchness?
I can't say that I have.
This cup has lost its muchness. I want a fresh cup!
Perhaps you will, for an birthday present.
A what? For what?
Oh my goodness! It is my birthday too!
And mine!
I know it's very ignorant of me, but what's an unbirthday present?
A present given regularly when it's in your birthday, of course!
I do love birthday presents.
Exactly so! And how many days are there in a year?
Well, the Earth revolves around the sun 365 days in a year. In a leap year...
Leap?
Here's our frogs! Hey, go in order. And how many birthdays do you have?
1.
And if you subtract 1 from 365, what remains?
364 days you make an unbirthday present!
It doesn't even have to be in May.
Let's celebrate!
From good friends and true, from old friends and new, may good luck go with you. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, that was wonderful. But I really must be going. I can't be late to the Queen's croquet.
We're going to. Shall we go together?
That would be lovely.
Lucky is so tedious. Oh, ever shall we pass the time?
My sister Charity says it's a great time for recitation practice.
Such a terrible idea. Shall we? As the one who strives the hills to climb, grow every moment less sublime.
And who never climbed before votes the thing a bore.
Climbs to the curb and horses fence, with many a puff and pan.
And feels himself like one asleep, a heavy weight from steep to steep.
Commencing every single phrase, lost beside the mystic maze.
But climbing ever keeps our eyes on one small hut against the skies.
Luxurious hut of the Queen. I say that's very curious.
Oh! You're saying it all wrong! Don't you know how to recite?
That hut our Queen's so furious. Now that I say is very curious.
If you wanted to recite,
That indeed is how you might.
Please slow down. I'm feeling a shade or two less hearty.
I know it worries you a bit, but how am I to blame for it? To come so far on foot, that isn't badly put.
I never trick you for a smarty. Why then are you not the party?
Hey, don't go jogging my 6.
I couldn't help it. 8 jogged my elbow.
That's right, 6. Always bringing the blame on others.
You can't be talking. I heard the queen say only yesterday you deserve to be beheaded.
What?
That's none of your business, for...
It is. It's for giving the cook tulip roots instead of onions.
Well, of all the unjust things...
Excuse me, but would you tell me, please, why you're painting those roses?
Well, yes. This here ought to be a red rose tree, but we planted in white ones. And if the queen were to find out, our heads cut off. So you see, Les, we were really trying our best before she comes and.
Your Majesty, we met this morning.
And who are these?
How should I know? It's no business of mine.
Nonsense!
Consider, my dear, she's only a child.
Help them up. Stop that. What have you been doing?
May it please your Majesty, we're only trying.
I see. Up for their heads! Can you play croquet? Yes. Well, come on then.
Oh, it's a very fine day. Oh, a very fine day indeed. But which day is it?
Monday's child is fair of face, Tuesday's child is full of grace, Wednesday's child is full of woe, Thursday's child has far to go.
Cat be nimble. Cat knock over.
Oh!
Cat is nimble.
How'd you get that? Get that here!
Oh, don't be mad.
Perhaps it is Thursday. I have ever so far to go. I wish to go home, but I've yet to find the first row. I haven't found any rows.
Do you know how to row? We can make a row.
Your Majesty! I can't find my pig!
Take her away! Get to your place. Back with his head! Over the head!
They're dreadfully fond of beheading people here. The great wonder is how there's anyone still alive.
How are you getting on?
I don't think they play it all fairly, and they all quarrel with one another. So one can't hear oneself speak. And I don't think they have any rules. At least, if they do, they don't abide by any of them. And it's so confusing, all the things being alive. For instance, there's part of the card arch walking about at the other end that I have to get through. And I was supposed to croquet the queen's hedgehog, but it ran away when it saw mine coming. Not at all. She's so extremely likely to win that it's hardly worthwhile finishing the game.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, a Cheshire cat. He's a friend of mine. Allow me to introduce it.
I don't like the look of it at all. However, it may kiss my hand if it likes. Don't be impertinent, and don't look at me like that!
Oh, a cat may look at a king. I read that in a book once. I don't remember where.
Well, must remove, my dear. We should have this cat removed! I'll fetch the executioner.
Miss Rabbit, will you tell me, please, which way I must go to find the first row?
Oh, would you hush? She'll hear you.
Anything with a head can be beheaded.
Then off with his head this instant.
Your Majesty, how can I cut off a head without a body?
If something isn't done, heads will roll all around!
It belongs to the Duchess. You should ask her about it.
She's in prison, awaiting her sentence.
Fetch her here. No minutes once again. Let us continue while we wait.
You can't think how glad I am to see you, you dear old thing.
She's much less spicy without the pepper. If I were Duchess, I wouldn't have any pepper in my kitchen at all. Soup does very well without. Maybe it's always pepper that makes people hot-tempered.
You're thinking about something, and that makes you forget to talk. I can't think of what the moral of that is, but I shall remember in a bit.
Perhaps it hasn't one.
Everything's got a moral, if only you can find it.
The game's going on rather better now.
'Tis so, and the moral of that is, 'tis love that makes the world go round.
Somebody said it's done by everybody minding their own business.
Oh, well, that means much the same thing, and the moral of that is, two birds of a feather flock together.
I do wish my flamingo minded. I don't think we did much of anything together.
Thinking again?
I do have the right to think.
Just about much as right as pigs have to fly. And the moral of that is... A fine day, Your Majesty!
Now I bid you fair warning. Either you or your head must be off, and in that about half no time. Take your choice.
Your Majesty, now that we've played croquet, would you please tell me which way I must go to find the 8th row?
Have you met the mock turtle yet?
No, I don't even know what that is.
It's the thing you make mock turtle soup from.
I've never heard one or seen one, but I certainly won't be adding pepper to it.
Rabbit! Take her to the mock turtle. Make sure he keeps her from the looking glass. He shall tell you his history.
You may go pardon all the prisoners.
Miss Rabbit, where does the mock turtle live?
In lodging by the sea.
I have friends that dwell by the coast. I do wish to visit the sea more.
Well, if you like your coffee with Stanford eggs, a decided hint of salt in your tea, and a fishy taste in the very eggs, by all means choose the sea.
I have friends that dwell by the coast. Pleasant friends they are to me.
And if with those dainties to drink and eat, as I heavily slip in the pools, with a chronic state of wet in my feet, choosing seas is for fools.
Won't you please speak plain, Miss Rabbit?
Well, you'll be stuck in Wonderland if you can't follow along. Hurry now. I detest to stand in the sea. Up, you lazy thing. Take this, Alice, to see the mock turtle. The queen wants her to hear his history. I must return to the queen to record the pardons.
What fun.
What is the fun?
Why, it's all her fancy that they never execute nobody, you know? Come on.
I've never been so ordered about in all my life.
Sigh.
What's his sorrow?
Why, it's all his fancy that he hasn't got no sorrow, you know? Come on. This here young doe, she wants to learn about your history, she do.
Well, I'll tell it to her. Sit down, the both of you, and don't say a word till I've... Once, I was a real turtle.
Thank you for your interesting story, sir.
When we were little, we went to school in the sea. The master was an old turtle. We used to call him Totus.
Why did you call him Tortoise if he wasn't one?
We called him Totus Because he taught us. Really, you are quite dull.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself for asking such a simple question. Drive on, old failure. Don't be all day about it.
Yes, we went to school in the sea, though you may not believe it.
I never said I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Hold your tongue.
We had the best of educations. In fact, we went to school every day.
You needn't brag about all that. We did too.
Did yours have extras?
We learned French and music.
And washing?
Certainly not.
Well, then yours wasn't a proper education then. At ours, we had French, music, washing, extras.
You must have not needed that living at the bottom of the sea.
Well, I couldn't afford to learn it. I only took the regular course.
What was that?
Reading and writhing, the different branches of arithmetic, ambition, distraction, uglification, derision.
Uglification? I never heard of uglification. What is it?
Never heard of uglifying. You know what to beautify is, I suppose?
Sure, to make something, anything, prettier.
Well then, if you don't know what to uglify, you're a dee-dum.
What else had you to learn?
Mystery, ancient and modern, with geography. Then there was drawing. The drawing master was an old Kunja eel. He used to come once a week. Taught us drawing, stretching, and fainting in coils.
What was that like?
I couldn't show it to you now. I'm far too stiff. And the griffin here never learned it.
Had time, I went to a classical master, though he was an old crab, he was.
Next day, he taught laughing and grief.
So he did, so he did.
Oh, how many hours a day did you do lessons?
10 the first day, then 9 the next, and so on.
That's a curious plan.
Well, that's the reason they're called lessons, because they lessen from day to day.
So was the 11th day a holiday?
Naturally.
And how did you manage on the 12th?
That's enough about lessons. Tell her something about the games now.
Let's see some of your adventures.
Well, I should only go back to this morning, because yesterday I was a different person.
Explain all of that.
No, the adventures first. Explanations take such a dreadful time.
Okay, well, it all started this morning when I was sitting under a tree with my cat Dinah. My sister Charity told me I must be quiet. But then I saw a white rabbit run by, and I followed her, and I fell into her hole. And when I went in the hole, I shrank, and when I came out on the other side, I was as big as her. And then I met the queen, and she gave me some rather confusing advice on how to get home, and then invited me to play croquet. But I was lost, and I cried so much I nearly drowned. Yeah, and then I saw the dodo and the mice having a little race, and the rabbit found me and mistaken me for his house bird and sent me to go get her gloves and fan. And when I went there, I had a little treat, and it made me grow so large, I got stuck in the house. Then the animals came and started throwing cookies at me to try to get me out of it. And I ate one, and I shrank. I got insulted by some flowers and offended a caterpillar. I saved a baby pig from the Duchess and met a curious Cheshire cat. And then I saw the Mad Hatter and the Hare having tea with the Dormouse, and we all celebrated our own birthdays. And after all of that, I still managed not to be late to the Queen's croquet. However, no one won. But now I'm trying to find my way to the 8th row so that I may be crowned a queen and go wherever I would like.
That's very curious.
It's all about as curious as it can be.
It all came different. You should try asking her to repeat.
It all started on a golden afternoon.
What's the use of repeating it if you're not going to explain it as you go on? It's by far the most confusing thing I've ever heard.
Yes, I think we better leave off. Let's have a run. Tell her. Turtle soup, will you, old feller?
Beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, mock turtle soup. It's the first time I've gotten that. Thank you, thank you.
You are under arrest.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Can't be.
Then who?
And why?
The knave of hearts stole the queen's tarts. You must give evidence against your involvement.
Miss Rabbit, you must believe me. I didn't take the Queen's tarts.
Well, did you aid the knave in doing so?
There's that little weed now.
Of course not. When would I have had the time? The Queen is...
Speaking ill of the Queen is not a good idea.
I bet the little weed doesn't even have a cent.
She doesn't seem to have much sense at all.
I just need to explain myself, and then she'll see that I'm innocent.
How will explaining show that you're innocent?
I didn't do it!
That has nothing to do with being innocent.
Did you hear what she did to the caterpillar?
The mice says she owns a murderous cat.
She stole the Duchess's baby, and Shirley stole the tarts too.
Miss Rabbit, what will happen if they don't see that I'm innocent?
Ooh, she meant to pick us. Now her head's gonna pop off just like a dandelion.
Weeds steal everything. Space, sunlight, nutrients. See, I told you she's a weed.
Maybe a tumbleweed, 'cause she tumbled down the hole.
Time for more, I see. So let us continue. And ever as the story is rain, the wells are fancy dry, and fate is sure that weary one put the subject by. The rest next time, it is next time, happy voices cry. Thus grew the tale of Wonderland, thus slowly, one by one. Its quaint events were hammered out, and now the tale near done. And home we steer, a merry crew, beneath the setting sun. Alice, the child of story take, and with a gentle hand, late with childhood reach and find the memories mystic band. The pilgrims withered and breathing flowers, plucked in far-off land. Rules and regulations. A short direction to avoid dejection by variation in occupations, and prolongation of relaxation and combinations of recreations, and disputations on the state of the nation and adaptation to your station, by invitations or polite persuasion, by habitation of amputation, by permutation, in conversation and deep reflection, you'll avoid dejection.
Read the accusation.
The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on an autumn day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts and took them quite away.
Consider your verdict.
No, not yet, sire. There's a great deal more to come before that. First witness, the Mad Hatter.
I beg pardon, Your Majesty, before I bring these in, but I hadn't quite finished my tea when I was sent for.
You ought to have finished. When did you begin?
The 14th of March, I think it was. 15th, the I, 16th.
Write that down.
Order in the court!
Take off your hat.
It isn't mine!
Stolen.
I've none my own! I keep in the cell! I'm a hatter!
Give your evidence or I'll have you executed on the spot.
List the singers in the last concert.
Give your evidence or I'll have you executed whether you are nervous or not.
I'm a poor man, Your Majesty, and I hadn't quite finished my tea when I was sent for. And with the bread and butter flies running low, and the twinkling of the tea,
The twinkling of what?
it began with the tea.
Of course twinkling begins with a T. Do you take me for some dunce? Go on.
I'm a poor man, Your Majesty, and the March Hare said...
I didn't.
You did, too.
I deny it.
He denies it. Leave out that part.
Well, at any rate, the Dormouse said. And then I finished cutting some more bread and butterflies. That I don't remember.
You must remember I'll have you executed.
I'm a poor man, Your Majesty.
You're a very poor speaker, if that's all you know about it. You may stand down.
I can't go no lower, Your Majesty. I'm on the floor as it is.
You may go sit down.
I think I'd rather finish my tea.
You may go.
And just take his head off outside.
Call the next witness.
Next witness, the cook of the Duchess.
Give your evidence.
Shan't.
Your Majesty must cross-examine this witness.
Well, if I must, I must. What are the tarts made of?
Pepper mostly.
Treacle?
Follow that dormouse! Behead that dormouse! Drive that dormouse out of court! Suppress him! Pick him up with his whiskers!
Consider your verdict.
Well, there's more evidence to come yet, Your Majesty. This paper has just been picked up.
What's in it?
I haven't opened it yet, but it seems to be a letter from the prisoner to somebody.
It must have been that, unless it was written by nobody, which isn't usual, you know.
Who's it addressed to? It isn't addressed at all. In fact, there's nothing written on the outside. It isn't a letter, after all. It's a set of verses.
He must have imitated somebody else's hand.
Is it in the prisoner's journal?
No, it's not, and that's the most puzzling thing about it.
Please, Your Majesty, I didn't write it, and they can't prove that I did. There's no signature at the end.
That only makes the matters worse. You must have meant some mischief, or he would have signed your name like an honest man.
That proves his guilt, of course. So,
It proves nothing. You don't know anything about it.
Never mind all that. Call the next witness.
Next witness, Alice.
Oh, that's my name. Present.
Ooh, a present? I would like one. It's my own birthday.
Oh, well, I do have, a thimble somewhere. Here you are. And I have the mushrooms.
What do you know about this business?
Nothing.
Nothing whatever?
Nothing whatever.
That's very important, of course.
Unimportant, Your Majesty means, of course.
Unimportant, of course, I meant. Silence! Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high to leave the court.
I'm not a mile high.
you will be if you keep growing.
I shan't. And besides, that's not a rule. You just made that up.
It's the oldest rule in the book.
If it was the oldest, it ought to be number 1.
Consider your verdict.
No! Sentence first, verdict afterward.
Stuff and nonsense!
Well, what's your verdict?
Not guilty.
Pardon me?
Pardon.
Stop her! Stop that wretched child!
You foolish child!
You!
You're a strange bird. She stole the Duchess's baby.
We're all mad.
You must be a weed.
Hold your tongue.
She must be a tumbleweed.
Off with her head!
Weeds steal everything.
You've lost your muchness. You're a dee-dum.
Bird thou never wart.
You! Look what you've done!
Certainly you're not a respectable anything.
Stop that wretched girl!
You should say what you mean.
You are not the party. Don't you know how to recite? You're mad. We're all mad. You! Look what you've done! You've lost your muchness.
Look how funny she walks.
I've never been to a trial before, but I'm certain that's not how it was supposed to go.
Does she think we can't hear her?
Well, look at her. She isn't even bright.
I beg your pardon!
You are excused, but you really should tend to your petals. They are all wilted and dull.
These aren't petals. I'm not a flower.
You aren't nice enough to be a flower.
Oh, the mad notions. Oh, the queen will have my head for sure. A mirror? In the middle of a garden? Oh, how beautiful. All the colors. But there's no tulips. Why, this isn't a mirror at all.
The queen and her executioner are coming, little. We'd better get a move on.
Oh, you're all so mean. I hope flowers are nicer in the mirror garden.
It'll be off with her wilted head for sure.
much better when they are smaller. Then I can't hear them.
Where do you come from? And where are you going? Look up, speak nicely, and don't twiddle your fingers all the time.
Your Highness, I've lost my way and I've been trying to find it.
I don't know what you mean by your way. All the ways about here belong to me. But why did you come out here at all? Curtsy while you're thinking what to say. It saves time.
I'll try that next time I'm late for supper.
Good. It's time for you to answer now. Open your mouth a little wider when you speak, and always say, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, I've been trying to find my way to the 8th row and to admire your beautiful garden.
When you say garden, I've seen gardens, with which this would be considered a board.
I've been trying to find my way to the top of that hill.
When you say hill, I could show you hill, in comparison with which this would be considered a valley.
No, I shouldn't. Hills can't be valleys, you know. That would be nonsense.
You may call it nonsense if you'd like, but I've heard nonsense, compared with which this would be considered as sensible as a dictionary.
I do declare, this round is match out as one giant chessboard. There's men walking about. This is one giant game of chess in this world, if that's what you would call it.
This is Looking Glass Land.
Oh, what fun! Oh, I do wish I could be a part of it. I could be a pawn, but I should like to be queen best.
That's easily managed. What's your name, child?
Alice.
Well, Alice, you could be the White Queen's pawn if you'd like, as her daughter Lily is too young to play. You're in the 2nd square to begin with. Once you get to the 8th square, you'll be a queen. Come with me. Faster.
Where are we off to in such a hurry?
Here, you see. It takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. If you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast as that.
I'm quite content with staying here. I'm so thirsty.
I know what you'd like. Have a biscuit? While you're refreshing yourself, I'll just take the measurements. At the end of 2 yards, I shall give you your directions. At the end of 3, I shall repeat them for fear of your forgetting them. Another biscuit?
No, thank you. One's quite enough.
Thirst quenched, I hope? Well, at the end of 3, I shall repeat them for fear of your forgetting them. At the end of 4, I shall say goodbye. And at the end of 5, I shall go. A pawn moves 2 squares in its first move, you know. So you'll go very quickly through the 3rd square, and you'll end up in the 4th square in no time. Well, that square belongs to Tweedledum and Tweedledee. The 5th is mainly water. The 6th belongs to Humpty Dumpty, but you make no remark.
I didn't know I had to just then.
You should have said. It's extremely kind of you to tell me all this, but we'll suppose it's said. The 7th is mainly forest, and in the 8th we shall be queens together, and it's all feasting and fun. Speak French when you can't think of the English for a thing, and point at your toes as you walk. And remember who you are. Goodbye.
She told me so much just then, and much of it I didn't understand. But at least I remember myself again. Alice! Alice! I won't forget it again. Soon it'll be my turn to move. Which of these finger posts ought I follow, I wonder? Mr. Cat, is it you?
You!
I met the queen!
I was there. Have you forgotten already?
Oh, certainly not. I met a different queen. She didn't have a temper. I'm trying to figure out which of these finger posts ought I follow to find the 4th square.
Here in Looking Glass Land, they read and write backwards. Here, try this.
To Tweedledum's house and to the house of Tweedledee. Oh, thank you, Mr. Cat.
I do believe they live in the same house.
I never would have thought that before, but that's okay. I'll just go and say, how do you do, and ask them which way I ought to go from there.
You best be on your way. You must continue the game and avoid the Queen of Hearts. She is very mad.
Isn't everybody mad here?
Here in Looking Glass Land, they're just the opposite.
So they're glad?
Glad to be mad. Now, it's nearly your turn. Hurry now. It's simple, but you will need the symbol.
I gave it to the dodo.
He gave it to me for my unbirthday.
Well, it is my unbirthday.
From good friends and true, from old friends and new, may good luck go with you. Happy on birthday to you.
Thank you, Mr. Cat.
If you think we're waxworks, you ought to pay, you know. Waxworks weren't made to be looked at for nothing, no-how.
Contrary-wise, if you think we're alive, you ought to speak.
I'm very sorry.
I know what you're thinking, but it isn't so, no-how.
Contrary-wise, if it was so, it might be. And if it were so, it would be. But as it isn't, it ain't.
That's logic.
I was thinking of an old rhyme.
There is one about us, you know. If you're going to recite, you should.
Contrary-wise, if you ain't, we will.
Tweedledum and
Tweedledee
agreed to have a battle. For Tweedledum
said Tweedledee had spoiled his nice new rattle.
But then flew down a monstrous crow,
as black as a tar barrel,
which frightened both the heroes so they quite forgot their quarrel.
First Tweedle!
No how!
Next Tweedle!
You begun all wrong. The first thing you say in a visit is how do you do? And you shake hands.
Oh, how'd you do? Oh.
Four times round is enough for one dance.
I hope you're not much too tired.
No how, and thank you very much for asking.
So much obligated. You like poetry?
Yes, some poetry, very much. Will you tell me which way I ought to go from here? I'm trying to find the next square.
What shall I repeat to her?
The walrus and the carpenter.
If it's going to take long, will you please tell me which way first?
The walrus and the carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand. If this cleared away, they said, it would be grand.
Oh, oysters, come walk with us, the walrus did beseech. A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk along the briny beach. We cannot do more than 4 to give a hand to each.
The time has come, the walrus said, to talk of many things. Of shoe and ship and sealing wax, and cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and why the pigs have wings.
Oh, oysters, come walk with us, the carpenter said. Oh, oysters, come walk with us, the carpenter said.
But he too ate more than the oyster.
Did he?
I don't know, did he?
Did he?
I think he did, because he used his handkerchief to hide it.
He did!
Well, I like the walrus the best because he felt a little sorry for the poor oysters.
But he too ate as much as he could get.
Well, then I like the carpenter better, if he didn't eat as many.
They're both very unpleasant characters, honestly.
Yes, they are. But will you tell me which way I ought to go? It's coming on awfully dark, and I think it's going to rain.
No, I don't think so. At least not under here, no-how.
But it may out here.
It may, if it chooses. We've no objections. Contrary-wise.
Selfish things!
Child.
Do that!
Isn't she always mean?
Or it could have meant the royal you know?
I don't know.
Have you never met the queen?
I still don't know whether she meant you or me.
Bread and butter, bread and butter.
Let me help you. One should never mutter, you know.
Well, yes, but I don't see what's the matter with it. It's out of temper, I think.
It must be mad, too. If your majesty will tell me which way to begin, I'll do it the best that I can.
Well, I've pinned it here, and I've pinned it there, but there's no pleasing it.
It can't go straight if you pin it all to one side.
Ouch! My finger's bleeding.
What's wrong? Have you pricked your finger?
I haven't pricked it yet, but I soon shall, otherwise I would have pinned both sides.
When do you expect to prick it?
When I fasten my cape again.
But why are you screaming before you've pricked your finger?
That's the effect of living backwards.
Well, I do have... Here.
Is it a tiny crown? Have you already been crowned a queen? Did I miss the announcement?
Oh no! It's a thimble! It protects your finger when using a needle or pin.
What a clever little finger crown.
You really should hire a lady's maid. Let me help. See? Look better now.
Oh dear, my crown. I would take as my maid with pleasure.
Oh no, I don't want to be a lady's maid. I need to become a queen. It's so very lonely here.
Consider what a long way you've come. Consider what o'clock it is. Consider the next move. Consider anything. Only don't cry.
Is that how to keep yourself from crying? By considering things?
That's the way it's done. Nobody can do two things at once, you know. Let's take your age, for example. How old are you?
12 years and 6 months exactly.
You needn't say exactly. I understand it without that. Now, I'll give you something to believe. I'm just 101, 5 months, and 1 day.
I can't believe that.
Can't you? Try again. Take a deep breath and close your eyes.
One can't believe impossible things.
I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was your age, I did it for half an hour a day at least. Why, sometimes I would believe in as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast.
Well, it's well past breakfast and I've yet to reach the 6th square.
And have you believed in impossible things along your way?
Suppose I have.
Well then, it's just me in the garden.
Is it really?
It's good to see you happier now. We will see each other again soon.
Thank you, Your Majesty. You can keep the thimble.
Whiskers, where is she?
Oh, Miss Rabbit, it's so nice to see you. Are you looking for Mary Anthe?
No, I've been looking for you ever since you took flight.
So much has happened since then. I remember myself.
Oh, yes, that's wonderful. No time to say hello. You really must be going.
I'm in between moves right now.
Yes, that's wonderful. Be that as it may, I came to tell you. The Queen of Hearts is after you.
But why? I'm innocent. I didn't take her tarts.
We've talked of this before. Innocent does not mean what you think it means. She brought her executioner. You need to hurry. You know how much further to go.
Oh, I'm so close. I'm almost to the 6th square.
Indeed. I'm sure that's true. You must be on your way. Goodbyes can wait.
Thank you, Miss Rabbit. Oh my goodness, there he is. Humpty Dumpty. And how shaped like an egg he is.
It's very provoking to be called an egg.
I didn't call you an egg. I said you were shaped like one. And some eggs are very pretty. Do you know Fabergé?
Some people have no more sense than a baby.
I do have sense. Had a great fall. Isn't that said right?
Recite.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again.
That is said incorrectly. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty in its place again. If I were to fall, I would be together only lower.
Your last line is much too long for poetry.
Don't stand there chattering as to yourself, but tell me your name and your business.
My name is Alice, but...
It's a stupid name enough. What does it mean?
Must a name mean something?
Of course. My name means the shape I am, and a good, handsome shape it is. With a name like yours, you might be any shape. Almost.
Why do you sit out here all alone?
Why? Because there's nobody with me. Do you think I didn't know the answer to that? Ask another.
Don't you think you'd be safer down on the ground? That wall is very narrow.
What tremendously easy riddles you ask. Of course, I don't think so. But if it did happen, the king promised me with his very... You didn't think I was going to say that, did you? The king promised me with his very own mouth to
send all his horses and all of his men.
Now I declare, you've been listening at trees and down chimneys, or you at back doors, or you wouldn't have known it.
I haven't indeed. It's in a book.
Ah, well, they might write such things in books. That's what I call study history. Now I'm one who has spoken to a king. Perhaps you'll never see another, and show you that I'm not too proud. You may shake my hand.
May we shake hands when I'm older and grown?
Yes, and yes. All the king's horses and all the king's men, they'd pick me up in an instant. They would. However, this conversation's going on a little too fast. Let's go back to the last remark, but one.
I'm afraid I can't remember it.
In that case, we start afresh, and it's my turn to choose a subject. So, did you tell me... So, I have a question for you. Did you say how old you are?
12 years and 6 months.
Wrong! You never said a word like it.
I thought you meant how old are you?
If I had meant that, I'd said it. 12 years and 6 months, an uncomfortable sort of age. If you ask my advice, I say, leave it off at 7. But it's too late for you now.
I didn't ask advice about growing.
Too proud?
No, it's just that one can't help but growing older.
One can't. Perhaps, but two can. With the proper assistance, you may leave off at 12.
Oh, that's a beautiful sash you have on. Or, I beg your pardon, cravat? If only I could tell which was neck and which was waist.
It's the most provoking thing when a person doesn't know their cravat from a sash.
I know, it's very ignorant of me.
It's a cravat, and a beautiful one. It was a gift from the White King and Queen. There now.
Is it really?
Yes. They gave it to me for a Gloria on birthday present.
That's a lovely present, but I don't know what you mean by glory.
Of course you don't. Till I tell you. Glory means memorable.
Glory doesn't mean memorable.
When I use a word, I choose just what it means. Neither more nor less. Some have a temper, particularly verbs. They're the proudest. Adjectives, you could whole lot of them. But verbs, however, I can manage a whole lot of them. Impenetrability, that's what I'd say.
What does that word mean?
I meant by impenetrability is that I've had enough of this subject, and it would be just as well for you to mention what it means to you next, as I don't think to stay here for the rest of your life.
That's a great deal to make one word mean.
When I make a word do a lot of extra work like that, I always pay it extra.
You're very clever at explaining words. Are you also clever at explaining games? I'm trying to find my way to the 8th row.
The next square is all forest.
Is that all?
That's all. Bye-bye.
Goodbye? Until we meet again?
I wouldn't have known you again if we didn't meet. You're exactly like other people.
The face is what one goes by generally.
That's just it. Your face. It's the same as everybody's. 2 eyes, nose in the middle, mouth under. Now, if, for instance, you had 2 eyes on the same side of the nose, or a mouth at the top, that would be some help.
That wouldn't look very nice.
Wait until you've tried.
All right, is that all? I really must be going.
Run!
I beg your pardon?
Run! Run for your head. It's Queen of Hearts.
Off for their heads!
When they said the 7th square was all forest. The branches keep out all the sunlight, and it's so very chilly and chilling. If I don't find my way out, I'll never make it to the 8th row.
Ahoy! Ahoy! Check! You're my prisoner. You're my... Ahoy! Ahoy! Check! She's my prisoner.
Yes, but I came and rescued her.
I'm nobody's prisoner, and I don't need to be rescued. I just need to become a queen.
We shall set as knights with a duel.
You must observe the rules of battle.
We can do.
I wonder what the rules of battle are. It seems the first rule of battle is that when a knight draws his sword and hits their opponent, the opponent must drop their hobby horse. But if they draw and miss, they must drop their own. Perhaps the second rule is the silly way they hold their swords.
What a glorious victory, isn't it?
Was it? I'm not sure I'm familiar with the rules of battle. I seem to have gotten turned around in your skirmish. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?
'Tis just beyond the next brook. 'Tis my duty to see you there, but then I must get going, as that is the end of my move.
I do believe I owe you a thank you for your rescue, if that's what you call it. I didn't mean to step upon you. I'm so sorry.
If ever by chance I stick my fingers into glue, or madly squeeze a left-hand foot into a right-hand shoe, or if one drop upon my toe a very heavy weight, I weep, for it reminds me of an old king I used to know. Alas, you've only got a few more yards to go.
Oh, how glad I am to be so near.
I must get going now. Travel safely, and you shall become a queen.
Oh, I never expected to be a queen or ever so soon.
It'll never do for you to be lolling about like that. Queens have to be dignified, you know.
Stop that girl!
The pig's in a hurry.
The cat's in a furry. Of course we are. We're all mad here.
There's no time left.
Help me, Miss Rabbit.
All hail Queen Alice!
All hail Queen Alice!
If I'm a queen, that must mean I can manage. What does that mean exactly?
Speak when you're spoken to.
But if everybody abide by that rule and you only spoke when you were spoken to, then nobody would ever say anything. So that would be utter nonsense.
Ridiculous. Why don't you see, child?
What do you mean by if you really are a queen?
What right have you to call yourself so?
You can't be a queen, you know, to pass a proper examination. And the sooner we begin, the better we've begun.
I only said if.
She only said if.
She only said it. But she said a great deal more than that. No, ever so much more than that.
I'm sure I didn't mean.
That's just what we complain of. You should have meant. What do you suppose is the use of a child without any meaning? Even a joke should have some meaning, and a child is more important than a joke, I hope.
Can you do addition? What's 1 and 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 1?
I don't know, I lost count.
She can't do addition. Can you do subtraction? Take 9 from 8.
9 from 8? But that's a negative number.
I am positive it is in good temper.
She can't do subtraction. Can you do division? Divide a loaf by a knife.
I suppose.
Bread and butterflies, of course.
See? She can't do sums a bit.
Can you do sums?
Of course I can. Can you answer useful questions? How is bread made?
I know that one. You take some flour.
Where do you pick the flour?
No, you don't pick the flour. It's ground.
How many acres of ground? You mustn't leave out so many things.
Fan her head. She'll get feverish after so much thinking.
Do you know any languages? What's the French for fiddle-dee-dee?
Ooh la la. Fiddle-dee-dee isn't French, but if you tell me what language fiddle-dee-dee is, I'll tell you the French for it.
Queens never make bargains.
Can queens ask useful questions?
Of course.
Don't let us quarrel. What is the cause of lightning?
Your Majesty must excuse her. She means well, but she can't help saying foolish things as a general rule.
Your Majesty? Have I passed my examination?
You passed it well before you began.
That's the effect of living backwards.
Pat her on her head. See how pleased she'll be.
She's so sleepy.
Oh, she's tired.
Poor thing. She must be going.
Let us say our goodbyes.
Come for tea in March, and we shall have tarts.
You have officially been pardoned.
You led an amazing caucus race, Your Majesty.
We all had a ball, queens and all.
And the moral of that is all can have a ball.
Do you know the quantity of poetry I've had repeated to me today?
Me? Do you mean you?
Do come again for tea, Your Majesty.
Now all the ways are your ways. You are mad no longer, since you're leaving here. So you always have a clean cup.
You ought to turn thanks in a neat speech.
Take a minute to think about it.
To Looking Glass Land, it was Alice that said, I've a scepter in hand and a crown on my head. To the Looking Glass creatures, whatever they may be, come with Red and White Queen to say goodbye to me.
That's just right. Bella.
Goodbyes are not good.
Contrary-wise, by and by, they are good.
This conversation is going on a little too fast. Can you go back to the last remark?
That wouldn't be at all the thing, you ought to remark.
We must support you, you know.
Thank you, Your Majesties.
Sit up a little more stiffly, dear. Curtsy while you're thinking what to say. Remember? It saves time.
Thank you, Your Majesties. Goodbye until we meet again.
You wake up here. Why, what a long sleep you've had. It's time for tea.
Was it all a dream? I just had my cup.
Nurse will have your head for bringing it outside.
I've had such a curious dream. I followed the white rabbit and I fell down her hole. Oh, I wish Dinah was there. And then I met this horrid queen and...
Yes, dear, certainly. What a horrible dream. It's getting late.
Shoo shoo.
No, they weren't horrible dreams at all. They were dreams of wonderland.
And so our story is at its end. Child of the pure unclouded brow and dreaming eyes of wonder, through time be fleet, and I and thou are half a life asunder. Thy loving smile will surely hail the loving gift of a fairy tale. And though the shadows of a sign may tremble through the story, for happy summer days gone by and vanished autumn glory, it shall not touch with breath of veil the pleasance of our fairy tale.
Thank you.